Alright, so let's go ahead and take our last approach on here, and then we'll call this part finished off. Taking a look at just the general shape of this, one of the nice things would be to actually have this one have a roof on it. So we'll just create a basic roof here. I'm going to take the piece we have on this one and just push Control D to make a copy. And then we'll just use our rotate tool and rotate it sideways. And then you can move it. Just remember, if you move it, you want to make sure that the local is set so that you can actually move it the angle it's going there. Alright, so we'll make this one go up at an angle, and then we'll scale it out until it's pretty close. I guess scale a little far and have a nice little overhang right there on it. There we go. So again, I'm not being picky in terms of it has to be perfectly in the center or anything, but that's okay. I'm going to make a copy of this, Control D, and then we'll rotate this one. And then we'll move it over to the side and place it in there. There we go. Now if you're trying to get exact, one of the things you can do is change from your perspective view to a orthographic view, which means there's no more perspective. See, it's flat inside the scene. All the lines are parallel with one another. You can go to a ortho view by clicking on one of the angles right here, and then you can work with it from there and be a little bit more specific as to how it goes. But also remember, because we're working with this how we are, we can do the vertex snapping, and I can actually just snap it right to the edge if I want it to be directly aligned with it. Alright, so now we have a cool little metal barn that we've built up here. Actually looks like it'll be a fun spot to put some game element. Alright, and then last part, and this is just to kind of finish off this area. What we could do, using again just kind of our standard blocks and pieces we've been working with, we can take this one, this back piece. I'm just going to push Control D to make a copy, and using the move tool and V, so again vertex snapping, I'm just going to bring it all the way to the front, and I want to make sure that front edge goes right across there. Now it's not intended to be all the way across, so we'll go ahead and scale it down. I'm going to scale it till about the main direction we want to go with here is we just want to create a little covering, so we'll go to our move tool and back to our snapping. There we go. So now we have this little piece, and if we can keep on moving it until it's about right on the edge right there, that'll be nice. We'll create a kind of a feel of an entryway right here. So let's scale this down just a bit more. Now Unity doesn't directly have any tools that are intended for use in level development. However, there are some really great ones we're going to take a look at shortly, and we'll go through which ones are useful to use, which ones kind of allow you the most ability. Most of them all come at a cost though, so if you're really wanting to do design work in Unity, you'll probably find those very useful. Alright, so here we go. We've made a piece on this side, and we'll go ahead and go Control D, make a copy, and then using the vertex snapping, we'll snap it over here. And then since this side's a little bit smaller, let's go ahead and scale this in. Let's see, about there. There we go. Pretty close. That'd be good enough for this part of the project. And then again, if you want to make it a little smaller, you can. The repeating pattern looks decent for it right there. Alright. And then if you want to fill it in just a little bit more, you could always go in here and add, for instance, we'll do a quick one just so you can see it. I'm going to make a copy of that, Control D, and then we'll just bring this forward here. So you could actually add a piece to here. So for instance, I could go in here and very similar like we did with the other one. You could even get almost get the numbers. We could go in here and actually put a sidewall. That way it blocks the user's view. They don't actually know what's going on, so they might be a little more concerned or timid when they approach the top of this building. I have to consider what might be behind the wall. There we go. And then having something like this, then you would just want to make sure that you place in, for one of these pieces, you just want to make sure that you put in a different material for it. So we have that wall metal right there. Just going to push Control D to make a copy of the wall metal, and we'll change it to 1A and drag it on top of it. And then just like we've done before, I'm just going to change it, the tiling, until we feel like the tiling's the right size. This tiling, we'll try a 0.5 here and see how it looks. Yeah, that's going to be almost there. We'll do a 0.55. There we go. Just be sure your tiling down below represents the same, 0.55. You can push Control D and we'll make a copy and then drag it over here. Alright. And then if you needed to, you could change that one out a little bit. But that'll give you a sense that when you are walking up to it, you're going to feel like you might not know everything that's happening because you can't see everything going on. And the very last thing on that building for up here, actually it looks like we could do a little bit more of a hangover right here. Let's do that. We'll do a larger hangover on this side, and this is more just visual versus any kind of need to for it. So we'll take this one to here, and then we'll re-snap the other one. So I'll take this one, and I'm just going to snap that back to the top corner there again. There we go. So that gives a little bit more hangover on both sides. Alright. So the last part on here, and then we'll call that one finished, is let's take, and this is one of the things that's kind of fun about designing, is that you can take pieces you've already made, for instance like this one. I'm going to take this and just push Control D, and then we'll take it and move it all the way up to the top. Remember, you can focus on it, zoom into it by doing F, focus F. And then I'm going to scale this one and make it more like a little it's probably like a little 4x4 post size. We'll place that right in there, and I'm going to move this one right up towards the front. So I don't want to put it out. We could put it out and see how it looks, but probably, let's see, well, that could almost work. Let's see how it looks behind it too, though. It's more intended just to be a something that looks like it's holding all the pieces together. There we go. So a little bit showing on that side. We want to make sure nothing shows on this side. We can see if we can move it down just a little without taking it out. There we go. Now we have a little bit more structure on that, and we could end with the same thing. We could put a little rafter beam. Rafter is the top board on your hip of your roof when it comes up. So we'll go in here and we'll put one going up. So we're just adding some fun detail just to make it feel like it continues to kind of show that you can still use basic shapes that Unity provides and still actually create a pretty nice environment. Alright, so we've got that. Let's move that to the center and then scale it out. Okay, there we go. So you could place one there, and then of course you could also do if we're going to continue with it, you could continue fleshing out the building, and you could make a Control D, make a copy of it, place it down here on this side. So we could place one down here, and then we could even, once we have it down here, we could push Control D again. So I'm going a little bit overboard with it, but hopefully it can kind of drive home the point of what all you can build inside of Unity. Even your first time modeling through, if you just think blocks like we're doing right now, just making blocks, and you can still come across with quite a really fun scene and a setup for it. There you go. And then that last little part, we could finish it off and make it feel like it actually is, the form has function. Is that we could put this one in here and scale it down and place it right up here in between so it's holding up the board for us. And if you want, doesn't even have to sit straight, you could kind of tilt it a little bit, make it look like the person building it wasn't actually doing such a great job, or it's been here for a while, so it's kind of aged and fallen over a little bit. There you go. Now all of a sudden, when our player walks up this time, he should be walking into a more interesting environment. So from here we get to see it. So if we were down here and walking up, we'd see this one from a distance, and we're interested, so we'll come up to the top. And when we get up to the top, we'll be able to see it, and we're like, oh, okay. Now we're inside an environment. It feels realistic because things are being held up. We could actually put boards like that on the inside and put them around all the corners and really fill it all out like it's being fully developed. Alright, so we're getting there. This finishes off the texturing side of it. We have our texturing for our major pieces right there. We've come quite a ways when it comes to the to setting everything up from where we started. Texturing and materials definitely make a difference, and if you think through it, kind of like we've been doing, then you'll find a lot of good success just directly modeling and developing straight inside of Unity. The next thing that we'll work on, we'll start to take a look at the basic elements of trees. We'll take a look at the terrain and everything, and continue to put the scene together so that when we finish off, we'll have a really strong scene that we can look at and be able to build from and create with.